Hey, today is Earth Day. Today is a special day. It's 4/22/13. It's Earth Day. We all want to do something a little special today. I want to thank everybody, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank everybody for all their views on YouTube. We become, well, in my mind, a minor sensation on YouTube. But folks, I want to thank you. We've hit 474 views. The last show that we did, before show number 10, which was obviously number 9, we were under about 200 views. So what we've done, you see the difference? We're almost at 500. The last one was below 200. So we've had almost 150% increase in the amount of people watching the show. Woohoo! Now listen, Wall Street, get your act together. We're a precious commodity. Time is running. You know, if you want to jump on the Who's Telling the Truth bandwagon, now is the time to do it. So once again, I want to thank everybody. We're going to keep feeding the feeding frenzy on YouTube. And I want to thank you. If you guys can do me an additional favor, I'd really appreciate it. You know, we do the show once a week, and we do it on a Monday, and we're going to try to have it online at the end of the day, on YouTube at the end of the day, or by Tuesday morning. It depends on how much trouble I have. But anyway, if you can hit the subscribe button, and then what we'll do is each week, you won't have to worry. You'll automatically find us. And you know, this is the 1 hour of the week where you want to go, and this is your 1 hour of the week. You know, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. You know, what you want to do is just tune in, watch the show, relax. We're going to try to teach you some stuff. We're going to have some fun. But you know, a lot of times, hopefully, and the reason why we're here is we're going to make a difference. You know, a lot of people are making fun of global warming. They think it's a joke. The last show, I tell you, we had a terrific time with the bada bing bitch slap. And I mean, I'm bent over backwards with the whole thing because the way it's caught on. And there's been a little controversy with the bada bing bitch slap. You know, so you know, I want to make sure that we clear up the controversy. And you know, like we said earlier, you know, we've got the internet buzzing. And if there's one thing I love doing, it's giving somebody a free buzz. So this is the one time of the week where you spend that hour by yourself, maybe with a glass of wine, a beer. You might want a nice fatty to watch the show with. You know, whatever you... For medicinal purposes only, remember, it's marijuana. You know, that, all right, until it's completely legal. All right, so anyway, we got the controversy, we got the confusion, and we got the uncertainty over the bada bing. But tonight I'm going to teach you how to be a scotch. And you said, Rich, what is with this? Calm down. I'm going to show you, and you're going to appreciate when I do. You know, last week, we didn't quite have enough time to finish the videos that we were showing. And we were showing a video on harvesting the wind. So what we're going to do is, out of respect for, I think it's Pawtucket. No, I'm going to get that. Puget Sound Energy. Out of respect for them, we're going to show the whole video again today because, you know, you just can't cut something half off. And then, and you're going to get a kick out of this. Then we're going to go, and I'm going to show you where you can actually go to a real wind turbine and actually click on it and watch the amount of energy it's producing. When you see it, you're going to flip. This is great. Windmills don't work. Where's my buddy Uncle Joe? Uncle Joey! Bada bing! All right, so then we're going to go to what I call a climate of deception. And who gives us a climate of deception? The people that I love to hate, Fox News. And we're going to show you how they do it. And we're really going to upset the apple cart again. And why do we have to keep doing this? Because they don't stop. They just don't stop. You know, they continue to perpetuate this fraud that, you know, global warming's not happening. And you know, I say to myself, I say to them, why do you hate your kids? Why don't you care enough about global warming to sit down and spend 5 minutes instead of listening to Rush and all the other boneheads on Fox? All the Foxtitutes that you listen to. Hey. All right, my blood pressure's going up, but I promised my wife I'm going to take it easy. Right, honey? All right, now, after that, after we show you the climate of deception, we're going to show you a video that we showed you earlier. And it's about being brainwashed by Fox News. And this has to go with the movie Chasing Ice. And Chasing Ice was on National Geographic all night Friday. One showing after the next. And why? We'll tell you why when we show it. Followed by that, we're going to go to scientific literacy. We want to stop people from being stupid. Remember how we talked about you got to give them the stupid sign. Hey, what's the matter with you? All right? And then we're going to listen to James Hansen, who has just retired from NASA. Why? Because he wants to protect his grandchildren. He wants to save the world from global warming. It's that simple. And finally, we're going to hear from Stephen Schneider. And Stephen Schneider was the American frontrunner for the IPCC. And this guy is a walking treasure trove of information. And that's what we want to do here, folks. When we talk about this stuff, you know, a lot of times you're not going to be able to remember all the facts and figures that we throw at you. So what you do is take one or two things that you feel comfortable with, you know, that you can talk to people about. Hey, did you realize that the parts per million on CO2 is almost at 400 parts per million? You know, all of us, now you're raising your, and you're using facts. And that's what we want to do here. We want to use facts so that when people say something really stupid that they heard on Fox TV, you could say, wait, hold the phone. Where are you getting your information from? Who told you that? All right, we got a few shout outs at the end, but now we're going to go back to the beginning. And Judy, if we can have a picture of the flag. And guys, this is one thing that I really want to drum into everyone's head today. I mean, if there's one thing that I want to walk away from this show is, I want you to think when you see that flag blowing in the breeze, I want you to give the person next to you the old scooch. And Judy, if we could show our little bear here, we want to show what the scooch is. All right? Now, folks, when you look at a flag blowing in the breeze, I want you to say to whoever's next to you, it doesn't matter. You could be driving in a car, walking down the street, sitting there. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are, I want you to lean over to the person next to you, and I want you to give them the business. You know, you give them a little scooch, you know? And then when they say, what'd you do that for? You know, you ever go to an amusement park where you're standing on line to get on the ride and you're with a bunch of buddies? You always got that one buddy that gives you the business, you know? Well, from now on, when you see a flag blowing in the breeze, what I want you to do is scooch the person next to you and say to them, what does that flag represent? And when they sit there and they go, well, it's patriotic, it's pride, it's honor, it's bada bing, bada beep, you say no. Judy, let's get the other slide up there. You say no from now on. When you look at that flag, I want you to think of two words. Two words. I want you to think of two words. Judy? Judy, the slide with the two words with the windmill. We went through this. Remember the still? You got to hit the still button. The still button. Help. Yay! Folks, from now on, when you look at a flag blowing in the breeze, I want you to think of not a win-win situation, but a win-win solution From now on, we've got the solutions. All we've got to do is put them in practice. All right. Now, I don't know, I almost hate to ask you to come back to me. Hey, folks, this is live TV. We're all a bunch of aspiring, I don't know what we are, but we're here to give our time because we have a problem. And Judy's sitting there, and believe me, I couldn't do any better than she's doing, and I want to thank her for everything that she does do. So if there's any other technical difficulties, just bear with us. All right. So anyway, once again, when you see a flag waving, I want you to start thinking of free energy, and why aren't we harnessing it, and why aren't we capturing that? And we have to start thinking of a new paradigm, a different way to do things. And why have we let this go so far? Why? Because the fossil fuel companies want it that way. Why? It's all about the money, kids. Every gallon of oil that they don't burn, that they don't try to kill us with, every gallon of oil that they don't burn costs them money. They don't like that. We put up a windmill, and guess what? We just took them out of the ball game. They don't like that. They don't have control anymore. So let's give them the business. Let's scutch them. And every time you see a flag blowing, I want you to say to someone, look at that. Why aren't we harnessing that free energy? All right, now guys, we've created a real controversy with the bada bing bitch slap, And I mean, some people have gone off the wall. And, now I call it the bada bing bitch slap, all right? But there are some people that say, no. It's the bada bing bitch slap. Well, folks, to be quite honest with you, it doesn't matter how you say it, as long as you say it. It's like ice cream, It doesn't matter if you're having vanilla or chocolate. It doesn't matter as long as you're eating it. Why? Because it makes you happy. And that's what we want to do. So we want to come up with a compromise. So I say, look, I was born in the Bronx, Now, what's in the Bronx besides the Bronx Zoo? Yankee Stadium, am I right? What do they have a lot of at the Cathedral of Baseball? Baseball bats. So you see, I tend to use the bada bing version. My buddies in Brooklyn, they're still upset that the Giants left for the left coast, so they think it was a bad move, so they call it a bada bing. But just to show you, with me it doesn't end. You just watch. Watch this, folks. Watch this, folks. Watch this. Does this bring back some memories? The old Elmer's glue? All right. We're going to put a little of this on there. We're going to go like this. We're going to go like this. And look at that. The ultimate compromise. The bada bing. This way nobody can be unhappy. You can be an equal opportunity bitch slapper no matter where you're from. So folks, once again, it's just having a little fun. But what you want to do is, these people, when it comes to global warming, take no prisoners. The game is over. The science is settled. Now it comes down to the point where you're going to outfox everybody. Outfox it. Can you imagine that? They've been giving us the business for whatever. So anyway, what we're going to do now is, I wanted to mention one other thing. Last night, 350.org. And if you're not up to speed with 350, I suggest that you go online. Google it and go online. 350 is the parts per million of carbon dioxide that we can't go over. Right now we're at we're almost at 400 parts per million. So anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, and I got to tell you this because this is big. The reason how I got so many views is I go onto the different websites like Breitbart, and I go onto the Climate Drop, you know, the one that we spoke about where you can drop your comments. And I've been dropping comments, and I've been posting my site, and all the people are coming to hit on it. So anyway, I want to come up with a weekly special called the Blogging Boneheads Award. And this is to go to the super stupid people that keep blogging me. And one, her name is Texas Grandmom, and I told her, I said, you know, you're going to win the award this week because you're past stupid. I mean, so anyway, she, Texas Grandma, thinks that gas in the ground is a renewable resource. It's renewable, okay? This is what we're dealing with, folks. And she also said that it's clean burning. Strike two. And then you know what else she said? She said, God is going to God gave us plenty of oil. He gave us the resources, so why not use them? Texas Grandma, is God going to fill up the natural gas reservoirs when they run? Oh, no, it's a natural resource. So anyway, you get the Bonehead of the Week award. And I tell you, and all your other, you know, I got Gaspers out there, No Commie Cats, Stand for Liberty, the Freedom Fighters. All these guys put in these patriotic sayings that they think they're patriotic. And in the meantime, they're putting the party before their people. And who are their people? Their children. And why do they put their party before their children? Because they're stupid and they need to be bitch slapped. Case closed. All right, now we're going to go to the first video. And Texas Grandma, next week we're going to have a nice award. I just didn't have the time for it, all right? And you other guys, keep watching me on YouTube because there's more to come, all right? All right, so Judy, we're going to go to the first video now. I lost my place. Okay. And this is going to be called Harvesting a New Crop, and this is to finish up last week's show. Judy?
Turbines are just as much a part of our farming operation as everything is now.
We have a lot of preparations going in to make sure that we're ready for the turbines to start making power.
Wind is not an alternative source of energy. Wind is mainstream. Wind belongs in the portfolio of a utility.
There is a hunger in a great many places to find some models that, honest to God, work. Give you full employment, give you adequate food, give you productivity and creativity and comfort and the things that we look for in society. And the Pacific Northwest is particularly richly blessed in that regard. It's an area where wind makes more sense than it does in many other parts of the country. And as a consequence, an intelligent utility will go out and take advantage of that.
The power will go from these turbines through the substations that we're building into the BPA grid. And then once it goes in the BPA grid, we will be paying BPA to basically transport the power back into the PSC service territory.
We have needs. Our population is growing. That's fantastic. I think our economy will rebound and we're going to need to invest in new sources of generation. Wind needs to be a part of that portfolio.
Well, I'm Andrew Barkus, and I'm the owner of Hometown Property Management, and we're in beautiful Olympia, Washington. We currently manage close to 1,000 single-family rental homes throughout the South Sound region. It's very important that we have an energy company that's out there looking at alternative sources. With PSC going into the wind projects, to me it's a no-brainer. It just makes great sense to me that they are doing something that is actually tangible.
I'm Melinda Sontgraff, and I'm the owner of the Hardware Store Restaurant on Vashon Island. I use a lot of energy here at the restaurant, both gas and electric. Our community is very committed to finding alternative means of energy. They feel good about coming and buying their meal here because they know that in some form they're contributing to that as well.
So I'm Ben Schultz. This is Mallard Ice Cream. We're an ice cream shop located in Bellingham, Washington. We use a lot of electricity. In the ice cream business, refrigeration is one of our major expenses. I'd rather look at a windmill than like a belching smokestack, right?
Show me a really beautiful coal mine. Show me a lovely oil field. We've got to have something that we can say yes to.
12% of our customer load by 2012 will be served with wind or renewables. We are ahead of schedule, but the state mandate is 15% by 2020. Wind works really well for our customers. Our customers depend on us to make the right choices for the environment, and wind is a right choice.
All right, these guys get it. I mean, you know, you see the potential. I mean, it's, you know, the problem is living where we live in Connecticut, we're completely ignorant. I mean, I haven't seen a windmill anywhere. The only windmills I see are behind me. I mean, there are some being built in Prospect, but, you know, I've been following them, and hopefully we're going to see a lot up in Cape Wind. But, you know, in the United States, we're doing nothing offshore. Well, Canada's finally starting to get the message, and they're starting to fight over who's going to be the first in Canada to put up a wind farm. So, Judy, let's go right to it. Let's watch the competition. Hold it what? She's not ready. Well, Judy, there we go.
Despite the economic downturn, governments around the world are shelling out billions right now, banking on the power of the wind to power their economies. But we're not talking wind power like we'd see here in Canada on land. European nations are harnessing the wind over water. Now it's coming to Canada, and it could mean countless new jobs. On the coastal waters and lakes of Canada, there is a quiet race to catch the wind and to catch up with the rest of the world. Invisible to the eye, the potential here is so great, some say it could answer the energy needs of our entire country 40 times over. The concept is to take a giant turbine, 3 times the size of one you'd see on land, and plant it in water. In the last few years, offshore wind energy has exploded in Europe. 8 countries already have projects running with billions of dollars invested. The belief is that offshore wind is 30% more effective than onshore because there are no mountains or hills to contend with. Still, not a single project is operational in all of North America, despite our vast potential.
Canada is one of the slowest countries to develop offshore wind capacity. And it's surprising because we actually have the second largest capacity in the world for wind power generation. We're being left behind. We're bleeding good companies and good investors who are moving to other countries.
Slowly, though, a race to plant the first ever offshore wind farm in Canada is emerging. Despite the economic downturn, governments around the world are shelling out billions right now, banking on the power of the wind to power their economies. But we're not talking wind power like we'd see here in Canada on land. European nations are harnessing the wind over water. Now it's coming to Canada, and it could mean countless new jobs. On the coastal waters and lakes of Canada, there is a quiet race to catch the wind and to catch up with the rest of the world. Invisible to the eye, the potential here is so great, some say it could answer the energy needs of our entire country 40 times over. The concept is to take a giant turbine, 3 times the size of one you'd see on land, and plant it in water. In the last few years, offshore wind energy has exploded in Europe. 8 countries already have projects running with billions of dollars invested. The belief is that offshore wind is 30% more effective than onshore because there are no mountains or hills to contend with. Still, not a single project is operational in all of North America, despite our vast potential.
Canada is one of the slowest countries to develop offshore wind capacity. And it's surprising because we actually have the second largest capacity in the world for wind power generation. We're being left behind. We're bleeding good companies and good investors who are moving to other countries.
Slowly, though, a race to plant the first ever offshore wind farm in Canada is emerging. 3 companies are leading the pack. Off the north coast of British Columbia, the Naikun project.
I would say it's almost a certainty we'll be the first in Canada.
Off the eastern shoreline of Lake Ontario, Trillium Power Wind 1.
I don't think that we have to take a backseat to anyone.
And further west along the lake, the Toronto Hydro project.
I think we all have to take responsibility for how we power our homes and businesses.
The latter is perhaps the most controversial. A proposed farm 2 to 4 kilometers off the Scarborough Bluffs just outside Toronto that many homeowners argue will obstruct their lake view.
I know, yeah. What's going on here? I mean, how is this thing falling apart, guys? Continue with your conversation. I'm trying. All right, now, the next thing we want to do is we want to try to put up a graphic of a sheet with somebody turn the lights off over there. Dave, can you get with the program? Holy shit. Judy, we're going to go to camera 3. Turn up. All right. Now, guys, this is a website from the University of Maine. And the reason why I want to show you this website is I couldn't do a video on it. So I have to show it to you in a picture form. But the reason why I'm showing it to you is you can click on this website and you see where it says live turbine data? When you scroll down, every 10 seconds, it gives you an update on how the turbine is performing. It gives you the wind speed, the amount of revolutions, how much energy the windmill is generating, and you can watch it all day. It changes all day long, the pitch of the blades, and you'll be able to see by use of that windmill how much energy they've been able to save and how many barrels of oil. Judy, you can flip back and forth to me now that they've been able to save. All right. Now, let's see if we can sacrifice what's left of this show. Next thing we're going to do is, remember, go to the thing on Man and you can watch it live so that this way nobody can ever tell you that windmills don't work. All right, now the next video we're going to do is how Fox deceives people, and it's called the climate of deception. Video number 4, hit it, you.
The Earth's climate is changing, and the choices we all make are a lot of the reason why. Those two simple facts are under siege from an illegitimate news network, Fox. The far-right channel has fought against the science of climate change for years. In fact, the more one watches Fox News, the less one really knows about climate science.
Progressives all the time are telling you that the science is settled, climate change is no longer debatable. And if you take a look at it, that's the case.
Of course, scientists are going to continue to debate some details. That's what scientists do. But there is no legitimate debate about the fundamentals of climate change. The Academy has laid that to rest.
But you wouldn't know that if you get your news from Fox. Their science reporting has ranged from gross distortion to outright deception.
Global warming. New Yale study says 57% of teens understand that global warming is caused mostly by humans' activities. Is it really now?
I don't believe climate change is real. I think this is global warming hysteria and alarmism.
So-called global warming, which isn't happening.
Global warming is illusory. We're actually going through a period of global cooling.
Calling carbon dioxide a pollutant? Come on.
Look how much pollution I just put out.
A lot of it would be laughable if it weren't so dangerous.
This is our Fox News global warming alert for you. It is freezing.
Blizzard versus global warming. Who do you believe, Al Gore or your freezing butt?
A pre-winter into winter storm like Europe hasn't seen in years. Forget about all that global warming talk.
It's not global warming, I'll tell you that.
Another storm could be headed this way next week. Global warming, where are you? We want you back.
The effort to claim that a particular snowstorm denies the reality of climate change is, of course, silly. The problem that it creates is it makes it more difficult for people to recognize that there are some weather events that are consistent with the trends and with predictions of climate scientists that we should be paying attention to.
What I think it points to is this really proud ignorance on the part of Fox News. You know, they're really not at all interested in looking at the science and the peer-reviewed studies to see what scientists are actually discovering.
We report, we'll let you decide.
They've helped to create scandal where no scandal really existed.
New developments today involving those hacked emails from Britain suggesting scientists are fudging data to make their case for global warming.
This is a scandal that blew the entire environmental movement to shreds.
Hide the decline. That seems like deliberately changing the data to suit your way.
The lasting effect is that people now have some more doubt about whether or not climate change is urgent, whether or not global warming is here and now as we know it is, or whether it is somehow questionable.
There have been numerous independent reviews, and in every case, no wrongdoing was found, and the fundamental science has been reaffirmed. Fox perpetuated the story. They, I'm sure, covered a handful of hacked emails far more vigorously than they covered conclusions of the National Academy of Sciences or of mainstream scientists when they find new evidence that the climate is changing all around us.
Their slanting of the news comes directly from the top. In late 2009, in the midst of global climate talks, Fox's managing editor Bill Salmon instructed news staff on how to deceptively report the facts.
We uncovered that Bill Salmon had sent an email to the journalists of Fox News and told them that they shouldn't report that the planet had warmed in any period. What he wanted them to do was to cast doubt on the temperature record. And he said that anyone reporting claims that the climate had warmed should immediately note that the data has been called into question.
But skeptics say the record-keeping began about the time a cold period was ending in the mid-1800s, and what looks like an increase may just be part of a longer cycle.
What we wanted to see was how views about EPA's regulation of greenhouse gases were being represented on television news outlets. So we did a search dating back to December 2009.
In 2009-2010, Congress failed to pass comprehensive legislation to limit carbon pollution, but EPA still has authority under the Clean Air Act to reduce global warming pollution.
And we looked at all the guests who spoke about this issue on 9 networks. And what we found was that 76% of these guests were opposed to greenhouse gas regulations. And if you look at just Fox and Fox Business Network, that number jumps above 80%.
We're seeing a very distorted picture of what EPA is trying to do. In fact, they're required under the law, and they have a long history of adopting sensible standards that reduce pollution while protecting our economy. And that's what we expect EPA to continue to try to do if they're allowed to do their job, which is what most Americans want.
Like the rest of their climate coverage, from so-called ClimateGate to their attacks on climate scientists, the point seems to be to confuse the issue. What they're doing is distorting the truth to fit a right-wing agenda. You can hear it in the talking points they use, the same ones used by Republican politicians.
For the first time in the history of keeping records, there's snowfall on the ground in all 50 states.
Mr. Speaker, since the release of these emails, it has become very clear that the science is in fact not settled.
I don't think that anyone disagrees with the fact that we actually are in the middle of a cold period that started about 9 years ago.
But there isn't even one study that can be produced that shows that carbon dioxide is a harmful gas.
Every time we exhale carbon dioxide.
We don't know what those other cycles were caused by in the past. Could be dinosaur flagellants, or who knows.
Everything looked frozen right to the depths of the ground. And it just makes you wonder, where is this global warming that's going to save us?
The facts of what's happening to our world should not be a partisan issue, but many conservatives and Republicans, for one reason or another, have made it one. And Fox, as the communications arm of the Republican Party, has been more than happy to help.
Fox News viewers are the Republican voting base. I mean, Republicans go to one news outlet. There's one that they trust, and it's Fox News, and they don't trust anybody else.
There's a remarkable degree of consistency between what anti-government think tanks, conservative politicians, and Fox News say about global warming.
Groups like Greenpeace have documented for a long time the funding of the sources of the climate deniers, and pretty much every single one of them, over 90% of them, are funded by an organization supported by ExxonMobil.
The Koch brothers in particular, which is oil industry money, have put millions of dollars into efforts both to block legislation and now to block EPA standards on carbon pollution.
And these groups are set up to influence the public debate, and they often work through conservative media outlets like Fox News.
If you accept the basic facts about climate change, government has to do something. Government has to both prepare for climate change that's unavoidable and take steps to avoid climate change that's unmanageable. If you hate government and you are opposed to everything that government tries to do, you can't accept those facts. So their effort is to perpetuate a debate about reality rather than focus on how we should be dealing with the reality of climate change.
It's never been more clear that Fox is not news.
Like I've said earlier, the words Fox and news don't go together in the same sentence. It's that simple. So let's stop kidding ourselves. I mean, these guys they're evil. They're evil. Like I told you last week, they're the rich people paying rich people to convince the middle class to convince the middle class to blame everything on the poor and the immigrants. This is the way they operate. All right, now we're going to show you a brainwashed Fox viewer. After she saw the movie Chasing Ice, which was shown nationally on National Geographic all night on Friday. So, Judy, hit me.
Who was the director-producer of a film called Chasing Ice, which I keep recommending to you. If you're in D.C. or you're on the West Coast, you can. We have a link on the blog to the site Chasing Ice to find out when it's playing. And, just to offer some shred of optimism on the global warming front, this is a video that I just saw of a woman who had just seen Chasing Ice. I don't know if she saw it in New York or in D.C. She must have seen it just in the past couple of days. This video apparently shot a testimonial from this woman when she came out of the theater, and it is extremely encouraging. Like I say, you can listen to the whole Jeff Orlowski interview from last week on the show. If you have a chance, go see the movie. But the movie, it's a beautiful movie, and it's obviously extremely powerful. But listen to what this woman had to say. It is reason for optimism.
Let me say what I have to say. That I watch Bill O'Reilly every day. I love Bill O'Reilly. I'm proud to be an American. But I saw this movie, Chasing Ice, today. And it hasn't just changed me about global warming. It has changed me as a person. And there is something, I don't know what I can do. I'm 60 years old, but there must be something I can do to help our children, to help my grandkids. But I'm going to change it because this movie was fantastic. Every human being in this world should watch this movie. Everyone.
And you didn't believe in global warming?
I did not believe in global warming. I'm going to be 60 on December 21, and every time someone mentioned global warming to me, I told them if they wanted to remain in my home, they needed to step out, because I said it was bullshit. I didn't believe it, excuse my language. And that is because I listen, and this is the truth, I believe Bill O'Reilly.
And now you saw this movie.
And I saw this movie, and I apologize to anyone I ever talked into believing there was no global warming. I have talked every friend, every person I know into believing there is no global warming. And now I have to undo my damage. And I will. But the moment I go to my car, go home, go to my computer, it has changed my life.
Wow, that's great. That's really cool.
Thank you for giving me this moment. It was a great movie.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, powerful stuff. So that's encouraging. And again, if you have the opportunity to see this film, go do it by all means.
Now, there's a woman who's been pleasantly bitch slapped. She's seen the other side, and she's decided to change. This is what we have to do. Look them right in the eye. Take no prisoners. Where are you getting your information from? Judy, we're going to go right to the next clip.
You're the father of 2 children?
Yeah, one age now, 8 and 12. Yeah.
Are they interested in science?
I don't press it on them. I'll tell you this. By the time I'm done with them, they're going to be scientifically literate, whether or not they want to become a scientist. In fact, if you ask them today, I think my daughter wants to be a novelist, and that's very much not a scientist. It's something else completely. But I can tell you that she is scientifically literate, and the science literacy is coming from how I immerse them in their environment at home, when we travel, what surrounds them that forces them to think about how the world works. And I'm actually doing a study on them about the causes and effects of these, of the environment versus how they think. People think science literacy is being able to recite facts. You know, how long does it take the moon to go around the Earth? How does your microwave oven work? And it's not that. It's a part of it, but it's not the main part of it. The main part is, how do you look at the world? What does the world look like through your lens? And if you're scientifically literate, the world looks very different to you. It's not just a lot of mysterious things happening. There's a lot we understand out there. And that understanding empowers you to first not be taken advantage of by others who do understand it. And second, there are issues that confront society that have science as their foundation. If you're not scientifically literate, it's in a way, you are disenfranchising yourself from the democratic process, and you don't even know it. So, whatever my kids become, I want them to be scientifically literate, and that's my goal with them.
Scientific literacy, that's what it's all about. Don't let people fox their facts. Don't let them give you the BS. Don't let them give you the double reverse. Because if they try to give you the double reverse, what do? the double reverse backhand bada bing bitch slap. Once again, for those who forgot, here it is. Ha! We're going to go to the next video, folks.
I'm Jim Hansen. I'm the former director of the NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies. I just recently retired a few days ago, and I did that because I want to devote full time to trying to help the public understand the urgency of addressing climate change and the kind of actions that are needed, which actually are not that difficult if we could just get people to understand them and to put the pressure on the political system. The impeding of the actions that are needed comes particularly from the energy industry, because they are making a lot of money off of fossil fuels, and what's become clear is that we can't burn all of the fossil fuels without guaranteeing that young people and future generations are going to suffer the consequences of that. And it would not be so difficult to phase over to clean energies if we had policies that allowed that and encouraged that to happen. Right now we subsidize fossil fuels. We do not make them pay for the health damages from air pollution and water pollution from burning and mining of fossil fuels. And we don't make them pay for the climate impacts, which are already significant. The taxpayer picks up these costs, or just the public does. If you get asthma from air pollution, you pay for the health costs. The fossil fuel company doesn't. So what we need to do is add a gradually rising fee to fossil fuel. So it's a very straightforward requirement, but unless young people start standing up and asking, demanding their rights, it's not going to happen. So we've got to use the media in a way so that everybody can understand what's at stake and what's needed to solve the problem. Well, what we need to do is maintain a climate system which is close to the Holocene, what has existed the last 10,000 years, because civilization developed during this period of stable climate, which has existed for the last 10,000 years. And if we let that begin to run out of control, then it's going to be climate chaos. So that's what we need to do, is leave a stable climate.
All right. So anyway, that's James. Happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, everybody. All right, now that's James Hansen. Now what we're going to do is, he was with NASA. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the final clip, which is Stephen Schneider. And Stephen was the director for the global change in Stanford University. He's written over 450 scientific, peer-reviewed papers. And this is important, so when you talk to people, you say, wait a minute, I watched a video from Stephen Schneider, and this is what he had to say. And you know what? Bada bing, you shut them right up, because they don't know anything. They only know what Fox told them and what Rush told them. But we know better because we know to look things up. All right, now we're going to go to this next one. Oh, by the way, Stephen Schneider also shared in a Pulitzer Prize on climate change. Tell me anybody on Fox that ever got a Pulitzer Prize. They don't even know what it is. Judy, hit me.
How did we know in the 1970s pretty much what would happen? It was theory then. And since then, nature's been cooperating with theory, but we kind of knew what was going to happen. You couldn't add 4 watts of energy over every square meter and have nothing happen.
scientific consensus that CO2 will build up and will be a potential problem is very large. But a scientific consensus on precisely how influential it will be in 10 years or 20 years, what areas climates will get better, what areas will get worse, this is where the controversy comes in.
We also knew that you had to stop using the atmosphere as an unpriced sewer to dump your smokestack and tailpipe waste and your land use change interactions. All of that was known. It was not just in the club of 100 left-brain people. We testified to Congress, we talked to ministers, there were national and international meetings. It was out there.
Some of the things we're doing ourselves are accelerating the process. Our fossil fuel burning, coal, oil, gasoline, natural gas, is a very big contributor to the current greenhouse effect, pouring out not only vast quantities of carbon dioxide, but other gases like carbon monoxide and nitrous oxide.
So why didn't we succeed? What happened? Climate science is a system science. It's like trying to understand your body, or trying to figure out something with cancer, or how is the educational system going to work most effectively, and how are we going to do security. Every one of these complex systems problems has multiple components. And when you break them down, what you find out is rarely do we know everything, and rarely do we know nothing. So we have to break system science into the well-established components, which are settled. I'll tell you a few. Into competing explanations where our work has been able to get us to winnow it down to 2 or 3 possibilities. Here's where the disconnect comes along. Special interests will grab what's convenient for their ideology or their position. So what you end up with is you end up with a cacophony, typically, of people selecting stuff out of context, and then you end up with the end of the world versus good for you.
Carbon dioxide is natural.
Carbon dioxide is what plants eat.
It is a part of the regular life cycle of Earth.
There's absolutely no point in trying to control the emission of greenhouse gases.
Life on planet Earth can't even exist without carbon dioxide.
Insect-borne diseases such as malaria will explode. Where it's dry, it's likely to become much drier.
We're likely to see hundreds of millions of what we'll call environmental refugees.
It has the potential to escalate into the largest global catastrophe mankind has ever known.
Climate change could take on a life of its own, and global warming will become a runaway train.
We'll have 8 degrees, we'll be 8 degrees hotter, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down.
Systems of our civilization is threatened by
threat to life as we know it.
I'll confess my prejudice. The end of the world and good for you are the 2 lowest probability outcomes. What we are looking at is a multiple range of potential outcomes, and what systems scientists do is they winnow out the relative likelihood of these multiple outcomes. So if you try to cover it as a yes or no, and you go out there and you take a 200 scientist report like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, it goes through 3 years of writing, 2 rounds of reviews, 1,000 review comments on every chapter, and then 2 petroleum geologists, who are special interests in finding oil, paid by you-know-which oil company because they have PhDs and given equal status in a story or on television. You see, we get a little mad about that, and we call that utter distortion. And they say, oh no, that's balance. It is not balance, it is utter distortion, because they are not reporting the relative credibility of the multiple positions. And it means that you're leaving it up to the public and the political world to figure that out for themselves. They're capable of it, but they rarely do it.
Congress is considering a law branding carbon dioxide as pollution. This will cost us jobs. Carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide are emitted from engines and power plants. While carbon monoxide is often harmful, it's been proven that higher levels of carbon dioxide result in more plant growth and less water required for plants to grow faster and larger. Take action. Contact your senator and congressman today and remind them that CO2 is not a pollutant, and more CO2 results in a greener Earth.
Supposing you got a spot on your lung from a chest x-ray, which you did for a different purpose than looking for cancer. Well, it could be a healed lesion, or it could be the beginning of a tumor, and I actually know 2 examples where this really happened. So they were asked what to do. Well, what should we do, doc? Well, do a biopsy. Well, it's hard to get to. We have to do surgery. Surgery has risks. It's expensive. It's painful. In other words, there's a price for a false positive. If you believe that that could be cancer and you try to take it out, you will pay a price. So, okay, we don't want to pay the price, so let's wait and see. What can we do? And the doc said, well, you can wait, and if it grows, then we better take it out. And of course, this patient said, but what's the chance that if I wait and it grows, that it becomes metastatic, and therefore it'll be too late and I'll be dead, whereas if I take it out now in a precautionary mode, pay the price for the surgery I might not need, I'll have a lower likelihood of being dead. Now, what's the right answer to that? There is no right answer. That's your value judgment. How many people in this place, in this fire-prone California, have had a house fire? A few of you. Typically.
All right, well, guys, we did it again. We're running at it. We ran out of time. I got to start talking less. And, you know, the most important thing that we want to take away from tonight is the idea that we're letting all this free energy pass us by. And, you know, as you could see by the graphic, you know, wind turbines are a win-win solution, not a situation, a solution. And if we can, you know, hopefully this summer in Nantucket Bay, they're going to start Cape Wind. And if Cape Wind starts, that's going to be, I think, 140 turbines. That's going to be awesome. And I tell you, this is going to be, it's amazing that the United States doesn't have any offshore wind farms. How are we lagging the rest of the world? Why? Because the 1% wants us to continue to burn fossil fuels. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about anything but the profits of the shareholders. That's all they care about. And who are the shareholders? The shareholders aren't the orphans and the little kids. The shareholders are the people that own the other corporations that own millions of shares of stock. So once again, folks, next week we'll see you online. We'll see you on YouTube. And we'll see you on YouTube. And if you could do me a favor, if you can hit subscribe. And what we're going to do is next week, remember, this is in black and white, and I can't fox my facts. We were at, 474 views. You think we can get to 1,000 next week?